What's happening, y'all? Listen, I was a little bit triggered into making this video due to a comment that I received on one of my Facebook posts where I was kind of describing some of the traits of what I had been through in the narcissistic or toxic relationship that I was in. And I was kind of just describing some of the behaviors of the person that I saw. And one of the things that I had mentioned was like, they really don't, love their kids. They just kind of use them. And there was a young lady that agreed with everything. She was like, she jumped on the post and she was like, hey, you know what? I agree. I know women just like this that hop from man to man to man, and they use sex as their weapon. They use their looks as their weapon, and all of these different things. But then when she got down to the kid thing, she was like, well, that's the only thing that I disagree with you on, because all of these women that I know that are like this, they love their kids. And that was a little bit triggering to me because of the fact of how I ended up like in the situation that I was in the first place, because the same facade that that young lady was seeing is the same facade that I saw in the beginning of my relationship with the toxic person. I saw like she presented herself as an extremely good mother. So from the outside looking in, they literally look like they're the best parents in the world. You will not be able to see what's going on behind closed doors. So I was kind of trying to explain that to the young lady, like, what do you consider love? Like, what are you basing you saying that, they love their kids? What are you basing that on? And, she was just like, I always see them kind of dote on their children, and they always kind of, do this and do that. And I was trying to explain to her, I said, well, narcissistic people, they use their children as pawns, basically. Like they'll use the children to get at the other parent. You know what I'm saying? I'm going through that now. Then also, if a person doesn't feel normal, or if they don't, if they're trying to look normal to the public, one of the main ways, especially for a young lady, a woman to normalize herself, is to have children and look like a good mother. So they present themselves as a great mother. But one of the things that I noticed is they drop their kids off with any family member anytime, whenever they feel like, I got other stuff to do, I got better stuff to do, I got dates to go on, I got a new guy that I'm pursuing, or any of that kind of stuff. They're gonna drop that kid off with whoever, whenever. It doesn't even matter. Don't matter how old the kid is, none of that kind of stuff. Now, when I started, when I started uncovering what was going on in my situation, I had already pretty much gone through the discard, and we had a child together. Now, the narcissist moved so fast that this lady did not stick around long enough to see that if I could change a pamper. She didn't see what type of father I would be, as far as how I would do on my own with the child. Like, I literally was thrown into the mix of having a very young child, and the mother just ran off. And while, like, I'm literally trying to learn how to change his pamper and learn how to, fix his bottles and things like that. Like she didn't stick around to help me through any of that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? I was literally a single dad on my own with a brand new newborn baby. And that's after, she had played the parental alienation game at the very beginning. She was trying to like play keep away with my son. So she was using him to hurt me. She knew that we just had a brand new baby. She knew that I wanted to see my child and wanted to be around him and all of that kind of stuff. And she basically used him to hurt me at the very beginning of the discard. And then she started using him to kind of torture me on social media. She would take pictures of him and post them all over her social media page, or she would get one of her flying monkeys to take pictures of my son. During the time when she wasn't allowing me to see him, I couldn't see him like face to face. I couldn't spend any time with him, but she would have one of her flying monkeys post a picture of my son like at the flying monkey's house or something like that. And I'm like, how is it that, you know what I'm saying? I'm sitting over here, I am available dad. I want to be here for my child. I'm trying to do everything right in this situation to be here for my child, yet you're playing keep away with my child and using your flying monkeys to further the abuse. So So yeah, they use the kids to feel normal. You know what I'm saying? They use the kids to control the other parent. They use the kids to, I don't know, some of them, utilize the kids to collect child support, that kind of thing. Some of them utilize the kid to gain more supply. Like, you know what I'm saying? I've seen it where, like, let's say the kid plays football or basketball or something like that. The mother will use the kid to get closer to the coaches and things like that. So these people literally will put on the facade. And like I said, at the beginning of my relationship with the narcissist, that's the facade that she put up for me. She literally she presented herself so well as a good mother, that I overlooked a lot of the other stuff that was going on because, I was always looking at the situation where it's like she knew that I was looking, she knew that I had my own. She knew that I had my own job, I had already had my own home and all of that kind of stuff. So in her mind, she's looking at it like, well, what can I bring to the table? What can I, like, how they mirror you. So she knew that I was looking for just someone that could come into my situation, give me some peace, give me some love, give me some affection, and ultimately could be a good mother. So that's the presentation she gave me. That's the package that she delivered to me when her and I first started talking. Now, of course, as you get to know the narcissist and as time goes on, you start to pay attention more so to how they're moving instead of what they're saying. So that's when I started noticing, but after this point, it was almost 1.5 years, 2 years in, and we had already been through the cycle two or three times because, narcissists like to cycle through. So the first cycle we had, we kicked it for about 1.5 years, 2 years. Then she disappeared, popped out, gave me some sob stories, and then she tried to come back. She came back, and I was kind of like, what's going on? Things don't seem, that was kind of weird that you just disappeared like that. But okay, we'll try it again. So we try again. Things, the same cycle happens. Like everything's good, we're getting along fine, everything's cool. Then all of a sudden she just pops out and disappears again. The whole time I'm not knowing that she's dealing with other guys and all of that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm an extremely busy person, and I'm thinking that everybody, one of the mistakes that we make is we think everybody kind of moves like us. So because I'm busy and I have a lot of things going on and all of that kind of stuff, I'm not thinking that she's out here moving as bad as she is. Even if she, went out on dates or saw other guys in between the situation, you don't think it's as bad or as trifling as it is until you uncover the whole truth. So, like I said, she basically presented herself to me as like this wonderful, warm, loving parent. And then as I started to get closer and closer to her, I started realizing, wait a minute, you drop your kid off every single weekend with a different family member. Don't pick him up until Sunday. So you're not spending any of your quality time with him to, show him any love or nurturing or any of that kind of stuff. Then, like, I could notice it more when she was coming to me, like when she started coming to my house and she started, spending a lot of time with me. I'm like, hey, where's your son? You know what I'm saying? I was asking her, like, where's your son at? Like, why isn't your son with you? He's welcome here. He can come over. He can spend some time with us as well, especially with me taking the situation as seriously out as I was at the time. I'm thinking that, this is going to develop into something that is going to be long term. So I'm thinking, I need to build some type of relationship with her oldest son, because I was looking for things to be, for the long haul, and she was looking for the quickest, she was looking for the quickest back door. So what ended up basically happening was she, presented herself in that manner. I believe that she was actually a good mother, because she would only interact with me, you know, in times where she was dealing with her son. I didn't get a chance to see the detrimental stuff that she was doing to her son until I got a lot closer to her. And when she started coming to my house and I started asking a lot more questions, like, you know, things that she couldn't know, she couldn't hide things any longer because she was around me so much, you know what I'm saying? So and this is why I encourage you guys to, like, spend time with people in different environments, see how they move in different, because a lot of times when you're just out and you're having fun and you're dating and this kind of, it's easy to miss red flags when you are not paying attention to people in different circumstances. Like, so, you know, if you're always having fun, you don't get a chance to see a person in like a stressful situation or a panicked situation or any of that kind of stuff. So I feel like it's kind of good to expose yourself to different experiences while you're going through the dating situation. Like, expose yourself to different, you know, different experiences that's going to cause different reactions, so you can see how this person really is under pressure. You know what I'm saying? So if you, like me personally, her and I almost had a 10-year relationship that seemed to go so smoothly because we had never really ran into any bump in the road, like any bumps in the road. And the first bump in the road that we ever hit was a big one, because it was like, boom, we have a child now. You know what I'm saying? And as soon as we hit that first bump in the road, that's literally when her whole mask, her whole facade, everything fell apart. So, you know what I'm saying? You could know a person for a really, really, really long time and not know anything about that person or how they handle problems or anything like that, if you're not seeing how, if you're not exposing yourself to different experiences with them. So, and like I said, in this situation, she presented herself so well at the very beginning, but that mask started to slip because I started paying attention to her behaviors instead of what she was saying to me. And that's what I was trying to explain to the young lady on the post. Is like, well, you know, if a person is exposing their children to all different kinds of men, you think that's showing that their child love? Or if a person has their child lying for them to cover up their insecurities and their lies and things like that. I mean, you're a grown person, but you have children covering up your lies and things like that. That is not love at all. That's not what I consider being a good parent at all, you know. So it was those type of things that happened behind the scenes, or like, you know, raging at your kids. You know, one day, the first time I had ever really heard her get out of character was she was yelling at her son. She was yelling at her oldest son about something he had done. And it was something that where it was like the punishment didn't fit the crime. And that's when I started noticing, like, man, you got a lot of little anger issues in you that, you know, some unresolved stuff going on. Because, and like they say, these are some of the red flags that I missed, you know, while I was in that situation. But I noticed that she had a explosive temper, and sometimes the punishment didn't fit the crime. So like her son would do something, and to me it would be considered like small and something that you may, you know, just talk to your child about and just say, hey, listen. But she would like grab his iPad from him and like threaten to throw it out the window and break it, and you know what I'm saying, and then I guess she had already done stuff like that to him. So she would always threaten him, like, you know I'll do it too, because I've done it before. Or, you know what I'm saying, like, I've thrown his stuff out before. I've done this before. So it would always be like this fear that she would try to pump into her son. And I could never really understand why she would treat him like that. You know what I'm saying? Especially when the punishment, like I said, didn't fit the crime. It was like she was overdoing the punishment for some reason, and I couldn't understand that. But yeah, so, you know, that's my video right there. I just wanted to tap in and let you guys know that just because someone presents themselves on the outside as being very good with their kids and very compassionate and with their kids and all of that kind of stuff. You really don't know what's going on behind closed doors. And some of the stuff that goes on behind closed doors is extremely detrimental to these kids, especially their emotion. I'm not gonna say that I've seen any, physical abuse or anything like that, but mentally and emotionally, these people take their kids through hell, you know what I'm saying? And that's one of the things, like I said, it was kind of triggering me because, number one, that's how I got caught. The same way she was thinking, saying that, oh, she seemed to love, these women seem to love their children a whole lot, this, that, and the third. That's the same presentation that I bought into. And that's the same presentation that a lot of the world around them, you know what I'm saying? A lot of the world around this particular person that I'm talking about believes that she is a great mother until they get close enough to see how she really moves. Then when they can see how she really moves, then they can look back and say, well, you never with your kids. Like, what's going on? You never got your, yeah, you got them during the week, but that's kind of like because you have to. But any free time or any time you get a chance to drop them off anywhere, you take advantage of that. You know what I'm saying? If you get a babysitter that just pops up, hey, I'll watch the kids, you know what I'm saying? And she's going to take advantage of that just so she could run out and chase some more sex, or, just so she can be out in some guy's face or something like that. So, like I said, be real careful when people present themselves like that, especially when you're talking about toxic people. If you are looking at a person's traits and you can say, well, they do hop from person to person to person to person, and they do hop from job to job to job to job, and they don't actually ever stick to any of their word or anything like that. Know that translates to the children as well. It doesn't stop, it doesn't like stop with work or stop with relationships, like intimate relationships. It continues throughout the family. Like, these people spread so much damage. It's sickening how one person could cause so much damage out here. So I just wanted to drop that on y'all real quick because it was kind of like people really don't get what you go through until they experience it themselves. And I literally got caught up in that same type of thinking because I thought this person was a extremely good person. Like, she didn't have to come to the table with, any money for me. She didn't have to come to the table with any of that kind of stuff. All she literally did was presented herself as a sweet and loving person and a good mother. And I bought into that facade. And me getting older, me being a man and getting older and wanting children for myself, and knowing that, okay, this person is sweet to me. She seems to be sweet to me, and she seems to be a really good mother. So when she started going out of her way to try to get pregnant, and at first I'm like, I'm very hesitant about it. I'm like, hey, what you doing? You know what I'm saying? And she started like pulling the condom off and started, basically going real extra hard trying to get pregnant, which I didn't even see that as the play, because we had talked about getting pregnant a million times, and we both kind of discussed that wasn't really a good option for us right now because of how, not because I didn't want kids or anything. It was more so because of how our living situations was. Like, she lives almost an hour from me, and I knew that the way that my schedule is and the way and how far we lived from each other, that was, it was going to cause problems in us trying to raise a child together. So the fact that I knew that, and it was always kind of like a hesitation for me, because I'm like, wait a minute, I don't want to be away from my child. And we had talked about all of these type of things. And, of course, she would lie and tell me, she was on birth control, or, we would, she would pull the condoms off again, and she would always show me like her little ovulation calendars and show me days that she couldn't get pregnant, or days that, giving me a lot of BS about, her not really trying to get pregnant, when in reality that's what she was really trying to do. She basically used the child as a placeholder in my situation. So it was like, okay, I'm going to lock him in with a child and I'm going to run off to the next person. And if that doesn't work out, then I'll, you know, now I have a child with him and I can always run back to him. So that was like the play that she didn't want me to catch. I caught the play, and then I just, you know, I did the final discard for myself. Maybe a couple months after my son was born, and it took me all the way up to that point to realize what I was actually dealing with. So like I said, on the outside looking in, these people can look like they are the perfect husband, the perfect wife, the perfect employee, the perfect mother. They will present themselves any way that they need to look good for the crowd. And that's all they really care about, is what the crowd thinks of them. Now, what they do, like the things that they do to their kids and the things that they do to their partners behind closed doors, you would never really see that kind of stuff. And the only way that you'll ever even know that there's a problem is if the kid starts becoming vocal. And I think that's kind of what's starting to happen now, is that her oldest son is starting to, he's growing up and he's becoming more vocal. And so because he's becoming more vocal, he's kind of turning more and more into like the black sheep, you know what I'm saying? He's the one that is kind of ostracized now in the family. Like, so when she gets rid of him, you know, she basically discards him, throws him on with this family member or that family member or this family member. And now that she has a baby, and the baby is able to, you know, bring her more supply, people are paying her more attention and talking about how cute the baby is. And, you know, she can utilize the fact that I'm not in the picture. You know, basically she's painting the picture that I'm not in the picture and saying that I did, you know, basically telling lies to solidify her next victim, you know what I'm saying? So she'll go and tell her next victim that I left her, and that basically I left her with you know, with a baby, and she's playing a victim, when actually in all reality that's exactly what she did to me. So she'll go out and tell people that, oh, you know, he was cheating on me the whole time and he just left me as soon as I had the baby, and all of that kind of stuff. And all of that is projection. All of that is stuff that she actually did to me. But what's sick about it is they'll make people believe them, and then they'll have all these other guys that are like, oh, baby, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I would never do you like that. And now you got, you know what I'm saying, all of these different sources of supply that is falling for it, because they think, you know, they're falling for that damsel in distress role. Like, oh my God, I can't believe he just picked up and left me like that. When in all reality, that's literally the opposite of what happened. You know what I'm saying? So these people paint a very good picture sometimes, and that's what I was trying to get through to the young lady, is that just because somebody shows, you know, from the outside looking in, that person is a good parent and all of that kind of stuff, like, you literally have to judge the fruit by the fruit. Like, look at how the children react to the parent sometimes. Like, I would never notice the little quirks that the oldest son would do that kind of made me look a little bit deeper into it until the discard came. And then once the discard came, I started looking at the behaviors of everybody involved, and I started looking at the oldest son. And when I started looking at him, I'm thinking to myself, like, he seems extremely unhappy, and not only unhappy, he seems kind of distant from his mother, you know what I'm saying? But that's not the picture that she paints. She paints that they're like, you know, two peas in a pod. But when I started to get closer to them, and when I started recognizing what was really going on, I'm looking at the situation and I'm like, you know, this little boy don't seem like he doesn't act like a normal, natural child would with their parent. You know what I'm saying? And now I can understand why. It's like he's still trying to figure out what's going on himself. Like, why, you know, does his mother move like she does, and why does she have him lying for him and all of that kind of stuff. So, you know, I could imagine even the stuff that I don't see that goes on behind closed doors. So I just wanted to drop that on y'all real quick, and hopefully this helps somebody understand that these people are very good at putting on a facade. You know what I'm saying? They're very good at faking it until they make it. And then once they make it, they move on to the next person and fake it some more. So I'm gonna holler at y'all soon. I will get with y'all hopefully later on this week. I got a very busy schedule at work and all of that kind of stuff, and I am actually a little bit tired tonight. I want to go ahead and get some sleep so I can get up for work in the morning. So I will catch y'all later. I love you guys, and I'll talk to y'all soon.